Okay, so we're going to go over the percent review guide, starting with fractions, decimals, and percents. So the first section is write each decimal as a percent. So remember, when we're writing as a percent, we're moving 2 places over to the right. So this is 225%, and this is 6.5%. I'm just going to go right below that to number 5 and 6. Write each fraction as a percent. When necessary, round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So we have 4 over 6. So what I would do is I would just divide 4 by 6 to get the decimal 0.666 repeating. Move it over 2 places. And since I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, I need that hundredths place. So that's 66.7%. I do the same thing for 7/12 divided out. 7 divided by 12, I get 0.5833. Move that decimal over twice and get 58.3%. Looking at the other side, write each percent as a decimal. Remember, you can't just take the percent sign off. You have to actually move the decimal 2 places to the left. So move it 2 places out to the left, and that is equal to 42 thousandths. The decimal is behind that 150%, so I move it over to get 1.5. Write each percent as a fraction in simplest form. So we're going to put everything over 100. We're going to divide by 20 here since it's the greatest common factor and get 1/5. Put this 35 over 100. I can divide by 5 on top and bottom. And I get 7 over 20. Now going to this percent problem solving. So in this section, you have a whole bunch of problem solving, and it's not telling you like this is the is over of section. This is the part over whole. This is the percent change where we find change over original. You have to know that by looking at the problem. So in number 9, we have 220 is 55% of what number? So in this one, I'm going is over of. So 220 is of is your what number, and then I'm doing 55 over 100. This gives me 55x. Remember, you can use a calculator, but you have to show these steps. Divide by 55 on both sides, and then your number is 400, no need for a label. Going over to number 10, we're finding what percent. So my is number, my of number. So again, we're doing is over of. 42 over 150 equals x over 100. I get 150x equals 4200. I divide by 150 on both sides to get x, which is going to represent my percentage, and I get 28. I'm going to make sure I have that percent sign. There were 300 students in the gym, and 20% of the students in the gym left to go to lunch. How many students left to go to lunch? So if I know the total is 300, that is my whole, so I'm doing part over whole. So I'm finding the part, I know the whole, and I know there's 20% leaving to go to lunch. So I get 100x equals 6,000. I divide by 100. Remember, we can choose to cancel zeros. And I get x equals 60. And then I need a label here, so I'm going to say students. Number 12. Find the percent decrease. So this is percent change, so we're finding the change over the original. So the change, we're taking $96 and we're subtracting 72 to get 24. The original amount is 96 and we're finding the percent, so x over 100. So I get 96x equals 2400. I divide by 96 on both sides. So I take 2400, I divide it by 96, and our percent change is 25%. Number 13, a school holds classes from 7:30 to 3:30 or 3 o'clock p.m. This is a 7.5 hour change over a 24-hour day. And I'm finding the percent of the day. So I get 24x equals 7.5 times 100, or move those decimal places over 2 places to get 750. I divide by 24, and that is going to tell me my percent of the day that is spent in school through 31.25%. And I can leave that. It doesn't ask you to round, so I would just leave it. There were 550 cans at the food pantry on Saturday morning. At the end of the day, Saturday, there were 150. We want the percent decrease, so this is change over original again. So I'm going to take 550, and I'm going to subtract 150 from it to get 400. The original amount of cans was 550, and I'm finding the percentage. So 550x equals 4 zeros on that, which is 40,000. We're going to divide by 550. If you want to cross out those zeros and do 4,000 divided by 55, go for it. This is 72.72 repeating, so go ahead and round to the nearest. You could whole, half, or decimal. I'm going to just go 73%. When you do get ones like that, I would make sure you check out your answer. Make sure that you are actually not like typing something wrong into your calculator. Like I checked it 3 times. All right, what percent of change? So this immediately tells you percent change. Are you going from 3,500? So you're subtracting that 850. So you get 2650 over the original 3,500 equals x over 100. So 3,500x equals 265, and then there are 3 zeros. Divide by that 3,500. Get x is equal to, if you want to cross out zeros again, you can. So you can take 2650 divided by 35, and you get 75.714. And I'm just going to change that. It says to the nearest tenth of a percent. So we're going to make that 75.7%, since that 1 is what we would look at. In your class, 6 out of 28 students have a dog as a pet. What percent of your class has a dog? Round to the nearest whole percent, round to the nearest tenth. I realize this is there. If you did whole, fine. If you did nearest tenth, fine. 6 out of 28 equals x over 100. Sorry about that typo. So 28x equals 600. You're going to divide by 28. So can't cross any zeros off here. And I'm going to just take 21.42, and I'm going to go to the nearest whole, so I'm just going to say 21%. All right, moving on to page number 2, the backside, tax and tip, markup and discount. Bobby bought a used iPad for $375, and there's an 8% sales tax. What is the amount of sales tax? I know we talked a lot about total, so saying there's 100% that I'm paying plus the 8%, so I get 108%. So I'm going to do this and use it as an example. So I get 100x, and then I take 375 times that 108, and I get 40,500. And then I'm going to divide by that 100. So I can cross off zeros, and I get $405. That's the total cost. So to get back and figure out the sales tax, I could take the total cost, 405, take away the original cost of the iPad, and that's going to tell me the sales tax is $20. If you did that with 8 over 100, you would get your sales tax first, and then you would add it on, and it would still give you $405. Jill went with her yoga class out to breakfast. The breakfast was $10, but she needed to pay for 8% tax and a 20% tip. What was the total amount? I told you guys I'm all for adding these together. So I'm doing X over 10 equals 28% over 100. So I get 100X equals 280. When I divide by 100, my X is equal to $2.80. Now that represents your tax and your tip. So if you want the total amount, you have to add the 10 plus 280. So your total bill is $12.80. John wanted to buy a new Xbox 360 and the original price was $230, but went on sale for 20% off. He saves that $187.50, so we need to figure out if he has enough money. For me, I'm going to figure out what he's going to pay. So instead of doing 20% off, I'm going to figure out of the $230, what is he going to pay? He's going to pay 80% of the price. So 100X equals 230 divided by 80 equals 1,000 or 18,400. Divide by that 100, cross off those zeros, and you're going to get X is equal to $184. So does he have enough money? If the Xbox costs $184 and he has $187.50, yes, he has enough money. All right, last one in the tax tip markup and discount. A store bought for $30 and then marked up. Well, I guess we need to know what they bought. Forgot that. Another typo. Let's say they bought a shirt for $30 and then marked it up to a price of $75. What was the percent of increase? So percent of increase tells us percent change, or change over original. So we're going to take 75 minus 30 to get the $45 change over the original price of the shirt equals X over 100. So 30X equals 4,500. And I'm going to divide by 30, so I could cross off that one set of zeros if I wanted to. 450 divided by 3 gives me a change of 150%. All right, the last three on that second page are all simple interest. So remember, you're using the formula I equals PRT. To buy a laptop computer, she borrows $5,000. We know that's our principal over 3 years at a rate of 5%. So principal times the rate, remember you change that to the decimal 0.05, times the time in years, so $5,000 times 0.05 times 3 means her interest is going to be $750. And so go back and read how much interest did she pay. So I've answered the question. I don't need to add that back onto my principal. So again, I equals PRT. She borrows $6,300. This is a 9-month loan. So remember, months 9 over 12 equals, that is 3/4 of a year, or I can say 0.75. And then the rate is 0.8%. Sorry, I did the rate in backward order. So 0.08, so I should have switched the 0.75 and 0.08, but that's okay. So 6,300 times 0.75 times 0.08. So your interest here is $378. Let's go back and read how much interest did she pay? $378. All right, last one in simple interest, I equals PRT. Dr. Smith, like a computer system for the office, the cost is $10,000, so there's your principal. The interest rate is 3.5, so remember you're moving it 2 over, that makes it 0.035. And now we know the amount of interest to be paid back, so $14,000. So So we do not know the time. So remember, you're going to take that $10,000 times 0.035. That gives you 350. So 14,000 equals 350 T. Divide by 350. And that is going to tell you your time in years. This is asking for months. So I'm going to take that 40 and I'm going to multiply it by 12 months. And that's going to give me 480 months. Okay, so there are the things all over percent. And then we will go over that fair game review.